back from here. Here's the moment of truth.
pretty good. That's the side. That's the leg that was flat up against the base. This leg here, we're going to measure now, was the vertical leg. Oh, looks like wandered just a little bit. Not even a 32nd. So, I think we'll just need to tweak our blade guides a little bit. We should have it dialed in. So I've been working on this thing off camera. I figured I'm starting to stack up quite a bit of video in this project, but I did go grab some bolts, some nice grade 8 hardware for all these pieces for the clamp. Seems to work really good now. I had to make a bunch of spacers because, of course, this top here is 3/8 of an inch thicker than the old one, so I had to make up that difference. I just grabbed a bunch of washers from the hardware store and I stacked them up until I had about the right height that I needed. Welded them all together, and I had to use 1/4 inch washers in order for the outside diameter to actually fit in here. But even then, I found out it was a little tight, so I had to do a bunch of sanding on them. It was a big pain, but we got it. They're all properly shimmed up so that we have a little bit of clearance for this thing to travel, but still remain pretty tight. Another issue I ran into back here, where this shaft comes through this hole, because most of this new thickness ended up being towards the bottom. That means these parts that ride along the track in here ended up shifting down, close to a 1/2 inch, which means this hole needed to shift down a 1/2 inch. So I didn't want to make too big of a deal of it. I just took my die grinder and ground a slot, made a slot out of that hole, and then I took a washer and just tacked it on there so that it doesn't slop around too much, but it's still at the right elevation. And it works pretty good. Turns really freely. Well, there's a tight spot in the track right there, but it turns pretty freely. I'm happy with it. Yeah, that's enough about that. So now, here's my remedy. I've been doing a lot of thinking. Where's my square? I think I've already shown this table. It isn't quite flat. It's going to be hard to see, but there's a tiny bit of a rock to it. So I'm going to take advantage of that in correcting the last tiny little bit of out of square that that we're running into. I made this part here. Oh, my finger's over the camera. Okay. So I got a plate and this little gusseted piece of angle iron with some adjustable screws. What's going to end up happening is I'm going to weld this here at an appropriate height, and then this plate here has clearance for Got weld. Just gonna slap in right there. About. And I'm going to be able to raise and lower and set the angle of this thing with a lot of precision, because I can just turn those screws. And once I get it just perfect, then I can tack this plate on. Probably really only need to tack on the ends here, right in these corners. Back in here. Just enough to hold it on, but still allow flexibility to raise and lower and make adjustments. And that should, what that's going to do, it's going to take the high point right in here somewhere, and it's going to bridge across these low points and hit right here. The blade ends up being somewhere right in here. So it's basically going to bridge across all the low spots and hit on 2 points, here and here, when my material goes through the saw, which should make it pretty stable, and it's going to allow me to establish a straight plane perpendicular to the travel of the saw.